Dana White is the president of the UFC, which he took from near bankruptcy to a multi-billion-dollar operation. He went from being threatened by mobsters in Boston for owing them money to buying the UFC brand and now having a net worth of $500 million. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dana White, and my take on his top 10 rules to success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Know what you want to do.
I didn't grow up with money. We weren't rich by any means, but I knew I wasn't going to college. I knew that wasn't a reality, and I didn't really want to go to college. One of the things that I was very lucky in my life with is I knew exactly what I wanted to do. From the time I was a young age, I knew I wanted to be in the fight business, and people thought I was crazy. Because when you look at at the time when I grew up, I just turned 49 years old. When I was growing up, you had Don King, Bob Arum. These guys were the big promoters in the fight game, and you know, everybody was set in their ways. They didn't think that you know, the fight business could change.
Yeah.
And I believed it could. I had a lot of ideas, and I believed I could change the business. And I worked in Boston at a place called the Boston Harbor Hotel. What's up, Boston? You know the Boston Harbor Hotel. I was a bellman in there. I was 19 years old. I made good money. You know, there's some guys that get those jobs, and those are the type of jobs they you know, they're lifers. They want those jobs forever. And it's a good job. It's not a bad job. It just wasn't for me. And I was literally standing in the lobby one day, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? What am I doing here? This isn't me. This isn't what I want. And I walked out the front door, and one of my good friends, he's still one of my good friends today, who was the doorman, says, what are you doing? I said, I'm quitting. And he's like, what? What are you gonna do? I said, I wanna be in the fight business. He said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And he's glad I didn't take his advice. But yeah, I always knew what I wanted to do.
Rule number 2, put your ego in check.
Loyalty and not forgetting what you thought and where you were and when you started, you know, is so important in business.
Yeah. Gosh, man,
because when the money, first of all, when you're losing money,
yeah,
everybody wants to point the finger at whose fault it is.
Yeah.
And then when it turns around, you start making money, everybody wants to say it's me.
Yeah.
And then you start having differences in opinions, and you see all these great things break up because of ego.
Yeah.
Or money. Like, you telling me Guns N' Roses can't get together and go on a tour and play?
Yeah.
How long, one of my favorite bands ever, the Eagles, how long the Eagles went without playing together, you know? Because of that stuff.
Albums.
Come on, you guys, come on. I mean, it's just ego and that type of stuff ruins some of the greatest products, some of the greatest businesses, some of the greatest friendships, bands, and it's just completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Rule number 3, work hard.
People always ask me, how do you do this, and you have to do it. I mean, it's when you're building a business like the UFC or any other business, you know, you have to work, and it never gets easier. It's funny because it's 13 years now, and we're in 175 countries in 23 different languages and over 1 billion homes worldwide on television. And you think, you know, when you're early on building, it's like, when we get to this point, you know, I could probably
chill out.
Right, exactly. And it just gets harder and harder. It doesn't get easier, it gets worse.
Rule number 4, be consistent.
Do you consider yourself a disciplined guy?
Yeah, I would say that I am, especially with the business and with the game. You know, I have a routine that I do every day, and one of the things that I've learned in my life now is everything in life is about consistency. It's about being consistent. Yeah. You know, you get up every day and you consistently do what it takes to build your business and to, you know, for me, grow the sport.
Also, if you want more self-love, confidence, and motivation, check out my 254 series where every day for 254 days, I send you an amazing unlisted video by email to boost your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
It's good to treat other people the way you would like to be treated yourself. It's like a golden rule, and there's a reason for it. And that reason is that we're connected.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination.
You can outwork anybody, no matter how badass they are.
Rule number 5, find a mentor.
There was a kid in Boston, his name was Peter Welsh, and he's actually like a street fighting and boxing legend in town. Okay. And everybody had heard of him, and I literally sought this guy out. I went to him, and I said, I know this is crazy, you don't know me, but I want to work with you. You don't have to pay me. I want to learn everything that you can teach about the fight game. And I worked under this guy for like 3 years.
Wow.
And I did everything from boxing to corner work. I was a referee in fights. I managed guys, everything you could possibly do in the fight business. I've done everything except score a fight. I've never been a judge.
Wow. What were one or two things you learned from him that were formative for you, that really shaped you in that area?
Everything. Everything I learned from that guy. I consider, you know how in martial arts you have a sensei? This guy was my sensei in the fight game. Yeah, and he took me under his wing, and nothing bad with having a guy that works for you that you don't have to pay either. That doesn't suck. So, I worked hard for this guy. I learned everything.
Rule number 6, scale the unscalable.
I imagine it was just an absolute nightmare trying to get all the regulations and clean it up. And I mean, was it like, okay, we bought this thing, what the hell are we going to do? We need to get it back on TV. We need to get it cleaned up. We need to get it not so barbaric. Like, was that?
And that's where Lorenzo Fertitta comes in. So Lorenzo was a former regulator himself. He was the head of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Yeah. So not only did he know everybody, he was very, very respected by his peers in that world. And we went out and just started trying to educate. People would take a meeting with Lorenzo Fertitta and would hear him out on the sport. And the reality was, a lot of the marketing that was done in the old days by Bob and those guys was 2 men enter the cage, 1 man leaves, the most barbaric, bloody sport. It was all marketing and hype. Yeah. The reality was there'd never been a death or serious injury in the UFC. If you met these athletes, they're incredible people. I mean, most of them went to college and they had families, and it wasn't really what it was advertised to be.
Yeah. Gosh, that just seems like such a mountain to climb. But once again,
it was.
But we were
up for the challenge.
It's the same thing, though. Again, it's the same as quitting the bellman job. It's like you had that vision of what it could be, and that perseverance is just the part that I'm so dumbfounded by. Because I'm sure that walking into those meetings where you're walking in with PDFs and trying to educate a state on an athletic commission on what this sport even is, and they're telling you it's blood sport, and you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. No, it definitely was. Then getting out. Think about this, right? So we bought this company, and our goal was, because we always believed we had to get this onto free television for it to really take off, because we believed that people would love this sport that we were in love with as much as we did, right? We just had to get out there and present it the right way and get it on television. Now, when we bought it, it wasn't allowed on pay-per-view. You, as a grown adult, didn't have the option to buy this thing on pay-per-view. Porn was on pay-per-view, but the UFC was not. That was the mountain that we had to climb.
Rule number 7, play to win.
Anytime there's great success, it's surrounded by negativity. And, we live in this world today where the media, anybody who owns a website considers themselves media, and, you have people with agendas and people who know that negativity gets more clicks than positivity. But here's the reality. None of these people, none of the media people knows anything about this business. Today, just like the last almost 20 years, we have been the company and the driving force behind building this sport. And one of the things that we've done for the last 20 years is prove people wrong. It's what we've been doing. It's what we're really good at, proving people wrong. Nobody believes in this business more than I do. After the sale, I stayed on, and we've been working hard for the last 2.5 years to take this thing to the next level. I mean, that's why I'm here. I didn't stay here. It's not about money. It's not about any of that stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff. I like to win, and I like to take this thing to the next level, the next level, the next level, and it's what we've always done, and it's what we're going to continue to do.
Rule number 8, take risks.
The owner of the UFC at the time was a guy named Bob Meyerowitz out of New York, and I managed Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz.
Yeah, no, Chuck, yeah.
Yep. And we got into a huge battle over Tito Ortiz's contract, and through that, one day on the phone, it just all erupted, and he said, "You know what? There is no more money. It's all over. This thing's in trouble. I don't even know if I have enough money to put on one more show."
Wow.
And I said, "Interesting. Okay." So we hung up. I called Frank and Lorenzo. They were, and who had become my partners, and they were in Florida at the time. They owned Station Casinos here in Las Vegas, local casino. And I said, "The UFC's in trouble, and I think we should buy it. I think we could buy this thing." We started making some calls. A month later, we bought the UFC for $2 million.
$2 million. And sold it for?
$4.025 billion.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Jesus. Oh my God. So 15 years later, you sell for $4 billion. But you know, people hear that and they go, "Oh, what a lucky son of a bitch." And you know damn well there might be some grace in there, but it wasn't just luck. You busted your ass. And 3 years into it, was it 2000, what was it, 3, 4? You guys you'd burned through $30 million, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
Right. It was close to $40 million.
$40 million.
Yeah.
And what was
so
Lorenzo?
We bought it for $2 million. You hear $4 billion, that sounds great. But the burn of almost $40 million was not fun, and it was painful. And you know.
And what did Lorenzo and Frank say about that? Was there a point when they were at a breaking point?
Yeah. Lorenzo called me one day and said, "I can't keep doing this, man. I can't keep burning all this cash, and I need you to get out there and find out what you could sell this thing for." So that day I made a bunch of calls. That night I call him when he's on his way home, and I said, "You know what? Maybe $6-7 million bucks. We're in almost 40. I think I could get 6 or 7 million." And he said, "Okay, I'll call you tomorrow." He called me the next day.
What were you thinking that night?
Oh, the first thing you think is, "Man, I just blew $40 million of my friend's money."
Yeah.
That's the first thing you think, right?
Yeah.
And that's not fun. Then the fact that you've put all this time and energy into it, and it just doesn't work. It didn't work the way that you thought it would.
Yeah.
Then he called me back the next day and said, "F it. Let's keep going."
Rule number 9, be a well-rounded person.
You have guys that, like the Fertitta brothers, are well-educated guys, master's degrees from the best schools that you can go to, and are just street smart and have business sense, and, they have the whole package. They are the most normal, down-to-earth, well-rounded billionaires that you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Most billionaires are assholes, let's be honest. They're idiots that you wouldn't want to hang around with for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The Fertitta brothers are actually guys you want to go out and have dinner with and party with. And they're real guys. They're good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because of their well-roundedness in their personal lives and whatever, I think that's what makes them so successful.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
Hang on and wait 1 second. Oh!
That sucks!
Oh!
That did not work out!
In! Put it in! Oh!
I'm breakdancing!
2, 1.
Please stop it! Please stop!
So they flip the switch on this thing, and Nick the Tooth starts screaming like a girl.
Please stop it!
Please stop it!
Now, I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, if you're still here watching and you promise, you commit that you're gonna take action after watching this video, you're not just gonna watch a video, you're gonna do something afterwards, give me a hashtag believe in the comments because I want to celebrate you.
Do you bring your competitiveness to the negotiating table?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's funny because as successful as this company is, as big as the UFC is today, we battle every day. We go to war every day that I walk into this building. We're in a huge war right now with DirecTV. Yeah, we go to war every day. It's crazy. And the bigger you become and, the more successful you become, the more you have to fight.
If you want to see the top 10 I did on Joe Rogan, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
You have to have like real rigid requirements of yourself where you don't allow yourself to back out of things and you don't allow yourself to slack off.